hell's wrong with these people? I mean, these aren't the same people that you and I worked with over these many years. I just don't get it. I mean, in a national tragedy, you love Donald Trump so much that you're going to parrot that kind of crazy out there and promote conspiracy, which, quite frankly, could wind up having people hurt and harmed, not getting the resources and the help they need because they're following Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene stupid down a rabbit hole?
Yeah, it's very clear to me. Republicans are not sending their best and brightest to Washington anymore. It is unimaginable to me that at a time when so many of our fellow Americans are suffering, going through probably the worst experience of their lives right now. And what do these politicians decide to do? Politicize it. And what does Donald Trump try to do? Spread lies about it. He was saying that the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, couldn't get in touch with Joe Biden. The governor said that wasn't true, that Biden offered him anything that his state needed. Now Trump is out there saying that FEMA, they don't have enough money for relief for the victims of the hurricane because they were using that money on undocumented immigrants. Right. And the crazy thing is that Washington Post did a fact check, and it was actually Donald Trump during his administration who is taking money from FEMA in the relief fund to use on undocumented immigrants, not the Biden administration.
Hello villagers, welcome back to another video here in Stacey's Random POV, and today I have to bring forward with the spirit of the people that have been commenting on my previous video about Donald Trump and Elon Musk, okay? I've been getting a lot of comments in that video that are completely disrespectful and flat out interesting, for a lack of better word. So just for them, I decided to bring you guys the proof of why Republicans in Congress are the reason why the hurricane and FEMA and the hurricane survivors do not have funding. Since you all Trump supporters were in my comments huffing and puffing with your chest out, I hope you bring that same energy to these comments for this video. And before I get to the nitty gritty, I have to put in my disclaimer. This is just my opinion. Again, for you Trump supporters who did not understand this in the other video, I am not a Republican and I am not a Democrat. I am a U.S. citizen, tax-paying citizen, okay? And I am just concerned and putting my opinion and my 2 cents in these crazy times that we're living in. Again, I am not speaking for a group of people. This is no way, shape, or form trying to incite the public. This is just my opinion. Now, with the disclaimer already out of the way, now let's get down to business. As you guys are well aware, FEMA is going through it at the moment. They expected Helene to be a tropical storm in the beginning, and that it was going to be at the end by the water, by the ocean, by the beaches. But instead, it took a turn and it turned into a hurricane. So as you guys can see, they thought that the tropical storm was going to hit Cuba and slowly and gently curve itself to hit the beaches of North Carolina and Georgia and etc. Right? Come to find out a few days after this that it was a hurricane. And not just that it was a hurricane, but that it took a turn, that it's not gonna go on the projected route. Instead, here is the new one. Helene went rogue and decided to go on a little excrement. The process of that left more than 500 miles worth of devastation and destruction. And because of that, a lot of people were displaced. They had to evacuate from their towns and find somewhere to go, either with family members or a hotel. And I have to add my deepest condolences to the people that lost their lives during this disaster. It is never a good thing. I am so sorry for the families that lost their loved ones because of this entire disaster throughout the whole path of this hurricane. So stick around. There is more interesting videos that I would appreciate for you guys to see. And also don't forget, comment with a timestamp so I'll know what you're talking about.
That's just the way it is. But if you're hearing something that's just outrageous, just know, in the state of Florida, none of that stuff would ever fly. So you don't have to worry about that. FEMA is not leading this show. We are leading this show.
Ron DeSantis, nobody's questioning. We all know Florida is built different. Yeah, Floridians are completely different. But keep watching. We're cooking.
Here in the state of Florida, we're marshaling whatever assets are available to us. We're leveraging that. But certainly with people evacuating, in my executive order, I put in on Saturday that the default is you have a right to immediately return to your home following the storm. Now, there may be some circumstances that are not usual, but I mean, if a bridge is about to collapse, if there's real massive hazards, if there's active rescues going on, but the default is you get back. You can't just say, oh, we're just going to keep people off for 48 hours because we think it'll be easier to clean up debris. No, 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 no. This is your private property. This is your home. You have a right to go back. So that's in our executive order. That'll be something that we work towards to make sure that that's the case. It's important.
I know you must be confused. What does that have to do with anything? Don't worry about it. Keep watching.
President Biden has said more money is needed. He actually sent a letter to congressional leaders on Friday night, including you. And he said specifically the Small Business Administration is in real trouble. Here's what he says. I warned the Congress of this potential shortfall even before Hurricane Helene landed on America's shores. I requested more funding for SBA multiple times over the past several months. And most recently, my administration underscored that request as you prepared a continuing resolution to fund the government. Will you call Congress back before the election? Do you need to?
Look, we'll be back in session.
So this is House of Representative Johnson. He represents the Republican, and you heard him say it here that he is in vacation right now. They're going to wait until after the election. But don't worry, I have more of this clip coming up, and it's going to explain a little bit more. But you guys, I just want you to pay attention. These people do not care. This is all a game, an elaborate game of chess.
And immediately after the election, that's 30 days from now. The thing about these hurricanes and disasters of this magnitude is that it takes a while to calculate the actual damages, and the states are going to need some time to do that.
But if he keeps waiting any longer, it's going to be way too late to react, and more lives will be lost. And to make interesting times even more interesting, they asked Biden this. Check this out.
Speaker Johnson has said a supplemental can wait until after the election. What kind of timeline do you have in mind, sir?
We can't wait.
So they're talking about Representative Johnson from the previous video that I just played. This is whom so graciously already mentioned that they were not going to meet and that they are not going to come back to work until after the presidential election, so they'll have to figure something out.
Can't wait. People need help now. Thank you.
So as I stated in my last video, Congress has the funds to add to FEMA. Joe Biden is calling for additional funds to be added to FEMA.
Bingo. Thank you. Clock that T. Clock that T. Is the Republicans in Congress that are doing this. That the reason why people are dying and people are only getting $750 is because of the Republicans in Congress, okay? They are the ones who are fucking this whole shit up. And no, I'm not here to defend the Democrats, because they also suck and they also do stuff for their own benefit. If you love your family, if you respect yourself, and if you have morals and self-respect and boundaries, you are going to be ostracized in this system because they expect you to drop your pants down for a couple of dollars. And it's bad enough already that we're living where we're living at today. But even so, keep watching. We're building. This ain't going to be that long.
However, that requires Congress to pass that funding. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Republican, is asking that it wait until after the election. He wants to make this a campaign issue. So for those that have suffered, that are without their homes, that are anxious to clean up, to rebuild, to resume life, you have the Republicans, you have the leader of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, that is asking that this wait until after the election. The election is November 5th. Do you want to wait until November 5th? If not, make your voices heard. Tell the Republicans that you need the funding now, because the Republicans think you can wait. They want to campaign on this just like they did the wall, because they truly don't care about the wall. They care about making the wall a political issue.
And I just want to come back here and say he's not wrong. The Republicans are doing this. We all know this. But let's not pretend like it was Biden the one who took the money out of FEMA for nothing. It was Donald Trump who was using the funding that was put aside for FEMA when he was president. So you Trump supporters, you pay attention and you do your research properly.
And we're seeing that with the hurricane as well.
Case in point, pay attention, do research.
Of Hurricane Helene, there's been a lot of push.
So this is the follow-up from the previous video when she was speaking with Speaker Representative Johnson regarding the disaster of FEMA, and this is fully what he says. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let this whole thing play out for you, Trump supporters, to actually think.
Back from the federal government, from federal agencies, saying that Republicans are out there spreading misinformation about FEMA funding and how it's been used for people who have come here as migrants, many of them illegally, millions of them, versus how the money is spent for disasters. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said this on Friday about conflating the two pools of funding.
I mean, it's just categorically flawed and false. It is not true. It is a false statement.
FEMA also calls this out as a rumor on their website and adds this: FEMA's disaster response efforts and individual assistance is funded through the Disaster Relief Fund, which is a dedicated fund for disaster efforts. Disaster Relief Fund money has not been diverted to other non-disaster related efforts. So what's your understanding with how FEMA money has been allocated and is spent with regard to both the border and the hurricane?
The streams of funding are different. That is not an untrue statement, of course. But
so I have to read this. It says, rumor. Funding for FEMA disaster response was delivered to support international efforts or border-related issues. Fact. This is false. No money is being diverted from disaster response needs. FEMA disaster response efforts and individual assistance is funded through the Disaster Relief Fund, which is a dedicated fund for disaster efforts. Disaster Relief Fund money has not been diverted to other non-disaster related efforts.
Administrator Dan Crisol, she joins us this morning. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk about some of the misinformation that is out there, including these claims from former President Trump that FEMA is about $1 billion short because money has been going to undocumented immigrants. Also, that the areas of the Republican areas of the state are being intentionally ignored in some fashion.
You know, it's frankly ridiculous and just plain false. This kind of rhetoric is not helpful to people. You know, it's really a shame that we're putting politics ahead of helping people, and that's what we're here to do. We've had the complete support of the state. We've had the local officials helping to push back on this dangerous, truly dangerous narrative that is creating this fear of trying to reach out and help us or to register for help. You know, people need resources, and we need them to get into the system. And it's just, you know, a shame that people are sitting home on their comfortable couches while we have thousands of people here on the ground that have left their own families to be able to help those in need.
So much is going viral online as well. One user suggested yesterday that a militia should go against FEMA, got more than 500,000 views. What kind of impact has this had on the recovery effort?
It has a tremendous impact on the comfort level of our own employees to be able to go out there, but it's also demoralizing to all of the first responders that have been out there in their communities helping people, FEMA staff, volunteers, the private sector that are working side by side with local officials to go out and help people. I need to make sure I can get the resources to where they need it, and when you have this dangerous rhetoric like you're hearing, it creates fear in our own employees, and we need to make sure we're getting help to the people who need it.
Harris in North Carolina Saturday, meeting with local officials and residents.
I think that these moments of crisis bring out some of the best of who we can be and who we are.
But misinformation has become rampant amid the relief efforts. At a rally on Thursday, Donald Trump falsely accused Harris and the Biden administration of spending $1 billion in FEMA relief money on housing for undocumented immigrants. The White House firing back in a memo stating no disaster relief funding at all was used to support migrants' housing and services. None at all. This week, Trump also baselessly accused the federal government and North Carolina's Democratic governor of intentionally not helping people in Republican areas.
I don't know why he does it. It implies that we're not doing everything possible. We are.
In the wake of Trump's various claims, FEMA launching an anti-rumor tool this week to combat those messages, with local officials calling on people to ignore online falsehoods.
I would encourage the good residents of Western North Carolina
to turn that garbage off.
But a source tells ABC News that law enforcement is monitoring threats towards public officials prompted by disinformation and conspiracy theories, including specific individuals linked to FEMA and other recovery agencies.
And George, there's a real concern this morning that this misinformation could actually prevent people from getting the critical help that they need, and that's why that FEMA tool is so important. By the way, we should also tell you here that FEMA says that the money used for migrants actually came from a separate fund, not the fund used for disaster relief. George.
Okay, Gio, thanks. Let's start out with the recovery and rescue effort. Where do things stand right now?
Good morning, George. We are still actively supporting the governor in this search for individuals, but at the same time, we continue to move in critical commodities into the places that have been hard to reach. And our plan in what we're doing with them is to make sure that we can sustain that for as long as needed, as we know it's going to take time to repair the infrastructure and get access to all of the roads in the communities that either have limited access or no access at all. We've got thousands of responders on the ground right now, along with thousands of volunteers and the private sector working alongside our state partners, the National Guard, the first responders in the community, meeting the needs of the people on the ground.
Do you have all the resources you need?
Absolutely, George. We moved resources in before this storm happened. We embedded our staff in the state to work side by side so we could quickly employ those resources to where they were needed. And as we continue to see how long we're going to have to provide this level of sustained support, we will continue to do that.
Yes, everything is so crazy right now. This out, there's still more. So here it is, guys. Here is my proof. Check out the screen. Those are all of the Republicans who voted against FEMA relief before Helena even entered the state. Mind you, there is another bigger hurricane on its way, but I think it arrived in Florida yesterday, so I have to make another video about that. These people are playing with our lives. We are being fooled. We're being had. Okay, we are being fooled and we are being used as pawns, regardless of how smart you think you are. So the next time you guys want to call me names in my comments, do your own research. For one,
contact your representatives. Contract Mike Johnson. Like, blast him right now, because we need a special session of Congress to expand disaster relief funding. That bill that they removed the disaster relief expansion from, the day before Helene made landfall? We knew about Helene like a week before. I'm on the Gulf Coast. Before it was even named and developed, they were telling us something is going to happen and it's going to be bad. Did we know the extent? No, we never know the extent. But that doesn't change the fact that we need Congress to do the jobs that we're paying them for. And they've decided that they're on vacation, and Mike Johnson has decided that we can deal with this after the election. Tell me that's not a political ploy, considering how many of their base literally think that the Biden-Harris administration does everything in our fucking government. Like, I do not understand the disconnect when it comes to the fact that Congress makes the laws, Congress holds the purse strings, everything goes through Congress. Not to mention you have your federal versus states rights, and the federal government cannot go into a state unless the state asks for help, which all the governors are doing what they can. They've all been in contact with at least the president. But tell me why Congress gets to be on vacation and decide to make a little political ploy, a political game, because they know that people will blame the Biden-Harris administration.
Yes, Ace. Yes. Clock that T. Clock their T. See? Y'all hearing your sister, right?
Administration. No presidential administration has the power you think it does, not even a Republican one. They're the enforcers, not the lawmakers. They don't hold the purse strings either. And that $750 that everybody's complaining about, that is literally the thing. It is the initial grant to make sure everybody has food, water, and everything while they're trying to figure everything out. This has happened in every other natural disaster. They are politicizing the fuck out of this. Yeah, there's going to be other grants. And yes, you do have to apply for them, because otherwise, like someone else pointed out on this app, everybody and their mother will just drive up and decide that they're going to just get free money, when that money is meant for the victims. But there are other grants, and they will do it. But you know what? We're still in the search and rescue phase, not the assessment phase. And yes, your donations and help are going to have to be vetted, because unfortunately there is bureaucratic red tape, but that's the only way we can stay somewhat organized. Is it completely organized? Absolutely fucking not. But I mean, it's a disaster. But yeah, your donations are going to have to be vetted because it's also public health safety at this point, and also making sure civilians are not entering areas that are unsafe when they're still trying to find bodies. Biden has asked Mike Johnson to call a special congressional session. Mike Johnson has refused. He has his little vacation until after the election and watches everything around crumble apart, watches people suffer because he's like, this will take down Harris. How is that humane? Look, nothing's perfect. Nothing will be perfect, but oh my God, there are victims that need help, and we control the purse strings, so we should probably, like, show the fuck up to work. So yeah, call Mike Johnson out. There needs to be a special session. Because guess what? There's another hurricane. And yeah, Georgia all the way up to Tennessee got devastated by Helene. I mean, Florida did too. The Big Bend was really bad. Storm surge in Tampa was horrible. That's projected to hit the Tampa Bay area. They cannot handle this, and we need help. We need our legislators to do their damn jobs.
He says, we are fully ready for hurricane season to come. Play the clip.
FEMA is tremendously prepared. This is what we do.
This is 90 days ago.
This is what they do. And the key here, Rebecca, is also to make sure that the communities who are potentially impacted are prepared as well.
Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is sounding the alarm on FEMA funding right after the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Listen.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
Can somebody please tell me in the comments down below, why did this man felt like he could go to the reporters and say that they have everything under control when in fact he haven't even done an assessment of the damage that was done? I find it very suspicious that he did this before.
You can let it play. Keep playing it.
Spent over $1 billion from a FEMA program on services for migrants.
So check this out. They post this, right? And this scares the crap out of them to the point where if we go to FEMA's website, so they're trying to say we never gave that money to illegal, to migrants. By the way, I have the notes here to read it to you on what they spend the money on. I have from their website. They give grants to local governments and nonprofits to take care of undocumented immigrants. Congress boosted the budget from $360 million last year to $650 million this year. Watch this. In the 2023 annual report says it provides shelter.
Right, but they don't explain why they had to give them that bump when 2023 came around. FEMA had to get that bump because Biden administration realized that the funding was way too low because the previous administration had already taken most of their funding. So I'm not going to finish playing the rest of this. If you guys want to see the rest of their podcast, you guys can go ahead and check it out. These people are very big, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who they are. So, yeah, moving on.
I need y'all to hear me when I say this. If you're the people that's getting online right now and saying that FEMA's only giving out $750 in assistance, or that FEMA's out of money because they've been diverting it towards the border or for migrants, or that FEMA is confiscating donations and money, fuck you. And I mean that to the depths of my soul with every fiber of my being. Because the only thing that tells me when you say shit like that is that you have been so fortunate to never have to use FEMA.
First, I'm going to make sure I tag her. She does a great job explaining. We have politicized a hurricane. We have gotten to the point where we have absolutely politicized a hurricane. And in my hypocrisy right here, I'm going to note something. It's just something that's funny watching people respond to this. Number one, the main people that are complaining about what's going on and the misinformation that's coming out about FEMA and Kamala Harris are the same ones that told us they don't want federal government involved. They don't even want federal government. They want federal government to take a back seat to the states. Hence, what is going on right now. Your state representatives are the ones denying relief fund and aid for politics. Just for politics. Just so they could hope that Kamala Harris doesn't win. That is in-fucking-sane. Then spreading around that, oh, you only get $750. Mind y'all, this is this woman explains she got it within the first 6 hours. Okay, I've literally gone through all the people who have gotten some of the relief and some of the efforts, and they talk about it as well, getting this money instantly. Okay, there's FEMA down on the ground, there's helicopters everywhere, there's food, there's all types of aid coming in, right, as well as aid that's also coming in the back end.
Okay, villagers, so let me be 150% honest with you guys. The only purpose of this video is to discuss something so simple as game. There is a game here. There's a game being played that we are not even being told or even aware of how to play it and what the rules are. So with that being said, only reason why this video is out here in your face is to widen your horizons a little bit and bring forward my point of view and my opinion of the matter. I'm not here to try to debate anybody. I respect everyone's opinion and everyone's belief. However, we also have to understand and respect others and how we communicate said point of view. I don't mean to insult anybody. So anybody that was insulted of these little words that I say, please excuse me for my lack of vocabulary. I am working on it. I am not here to try to incite you. I'm just trying to let you see that I see that there's a game being played. There's a bigger picture. For every picture, there's another picture and another picture. Everything is connected. And I am tired of having my morals being questioned and living in a society where no matter how well you train your child at home, once your child leaves your home, they become susceptible to a number of things that even you yourself have never heard of before. And now you have to spend a number of years trying to help your child find their path in this world that's obviously designed to divide us as a people. Basically, a lamb, because it doesn't matter how well you train your child at home, once they're outside, they are going to be exposed to every ditty, every trace song. So basically what I'm trying to say, if we really look back and think of history, of everything that man has managed to uncover about our past and about our ancestry, we can't even really trust that. We can't trust our history. We can't trust our politicians, mostly because of how we are living today. If people were to learn from history, which is why they teach it to us in school, right? So why are we not better off today than we were 100 years ago? Why do I always hear news about scientists that have made great contributions to science and to society are often found dead, and then shortly after their death you hear about their inventions being used in a completely different world, in a different country, and we don't even know how it got there. So I just say this to say there's a game here. I see it. I'm just trying to find the people that also see it. So I'm not trying to offend anybody because I was not brought up this way and I don't like to be rude either. However, the truth is in the pudding. I can't help but feel like there is something coming. There's something bigger. There's something greater coming. And I just hope and pray that you guys are aware that there's something going on. This whole high school popularity, oh, we gotta kiss ass for the rich and famous, it's gotta all come to an end at some point. And you all know there are people out here whose dignity cannot be purchased or compromised at all at any point. You can get money to get you so far, but not everybody can be bought. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. And that's what's happening. Everything is crumbling. Everything is being shown as is, as designed. And if you read Revelations, you know what I'm talking about. But with that being said, if you guys got this far in the video, I hope you subscribe, because this village, baby, it takes a village. Once you subscribe, you automatically become a member of my village. Thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna leave you guys with this awesome clip. This is my favorite TikToker. I am not afraid to say it. This guy is awesome.
Hey, when you say it like that, it's not believable. What if Donald Trump said it? Didn't I know he's telling the truth?
So you think Donald Trump tells the truth all the time?
Yes, he's never been proven wrong. People just lie because they don't want him to save the world already.
I just find it funny how a host who has Donald Trump on his podcast can't help but laugh at such a blatant lie.
You don't know what you're talking about. Give me one example of him lying.
He somehow convinced the world that Biden is in charge of creating hurricanes.
I said give me an example of a lie, not a fact. Try again.
He somehow convinced the world, well,
that's a terrible mustache,
that FEMA is specifically not helping anybody who's MAGA.
Joe Biden's making the hurricanes target MAGA, and then he told FEMA to not give them any funds.
How would they be able to discern the difference?
That's a very good question. I do not have the answer to that. I am now going to move the goalpost.
So if you know he's lying, why do you act like he's telling the truth?
Because it's too late! Project 2020!
It sounds like me. You've been believing the lie for so long that it's too late to go back now and admit you were wrong the whole time.
Wrong about what? Wrong about wanting to save the world! Wrong about believing in Trump!
He's not a good person.
Well, it's too late! We need to find Biden's weather machine! Why are the hurricanes only targeting red states? This nigga Biden controlling the air, he think he ain't!